And your military background?
I spent 24 years in the National Guard, some of that full-time. I was an artilleryman. I deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. My battalion provided.
Boom. In other words, he never went to Afghanistan, which makes you a coward. I don't give a crap if you were eligible for retirement or not. You do not do that. You do not abandon your brothers when the ultimate time comes. Okay, so first of all, we've been hearing some rumblings that Tim Walz is not coming across too great. All right? Behind closed doors, Democrats can see 500,000 tweets about stolen valor and are wondering if they made a gigantic mistake. A few very powerful Democrats are already wondering if a pre-convention switch is in order. The only thing holding them back, if Kamala dumps her own running mate right after forcing Joe Biden out of the race, what does that say about her? We don't care what you did.
No.
When you had the uniform on. I was nothing special. Like Todd was a medic. Like there were so many people that did so much more than us. I don't care if you were a cook. I don't care if you were public affairs. I don't care if you were an admin NCO and you never left the talk. I don't care what your job was. I care that when your country called, you answered and you did what you were supposed to do, which the only reason you put that uniform on is to be ready to go to war to defend America. That's the whole point.
That's it.
That's the whole point. And yes, Tim Walz served 24 years in the National Guard. Love it. Got nothing negative to say about that, except the fact that National Guards get a warning order. Todd talked about this yesterday, which is basically them saying, hey, orders hadn't come out yet, but they are. And then eventually you're going to get an operation order, all right, which is going to be your call to active duty service, which is going to take you to war. So Tim Walz saw that, knew that he was in range to retire, and decided to ring the bell. And worst of all, in my opinion, he was a sergeant major at the time, did not retire as a sergeant major because he did not have the time in the rank, and he did not complete the school service to retire. Instead, he retired as a master sergeant. Either way, it's a great retirement. I'm not doubting that either. But you did, in my opinion, the ultimate no-no. And I've seen so many stupid people that have never worn the uniform, like defend him. He did 24 years, Graham. How many did you do? You only did 12. Yes.
Yeah, somebody.
And three of those years was in Iraq. Again, it's not about what you did, what your job was. It's about you do not abandon your brothers when the ultimate time comes. So we don't normally do this, but we got some pictures here. So this is Todd.
Both of my deployments.
In both of his early days.
That's that one down there. I was 19 years old in that picture.
Yeah.
1903. That's in the middle of it, bro.
Yeah. There's Todd. All right. And so we got some more here. Let's see. This is me on my PSD RSD team. If you're wondering where I'm at, if you zoom in, of course, I'm the one giving the rock sign up there on the top. That's me. This is deployment number 2. People that have been knows that we didn't have MRAPs in the first go around.
Yeah.
All right. Next, if you go to another one, this is like the infamous picture that everybody sees all the time.
That's the one. I hate my life. Right.
This was deployment number 1. This was after a very bad night. You can literally see the dirt from where the goggles were from the gunner's turret and all this stuff right here for me. And then you can see who the E5 is. Gary over there, completely clean. And poor Ken.
It's because he's a medic. We don't get dirty.
Poor Ken over here has been like in it or whatever. And then last but not least, you can see at the end of deployment number 2, this is our PSD team getting a bunch of awards and whatnot. And if you zoom in, I'm over there to the left just a little bit. No, right. Go to the right just a little. Nope, to the left.
That's where I was.
Not right all the way left.
Glasses. The only one with sunglasses.
Boom, that's me right there. Yeah. And again, this isn't to brag. This is just us saying that when our country told us to go do something, we did it. That's it. Period. That's all we're saying. We weren't the best. We weren't the most amazing at everything. There were so many people. I'm friends with Rob O'Neill, okay? He shot bin Laden, okay? Who am I to talk about anything that I did? Nothing. This is just us saying that when we got called to go do what we were supposed to do, we went and we did it, which is why we hate Tim Walz. And this is where, if you're a veteran, a spouse of a veteran, a kid of a veteran, family member of a veteran. This is where you have the power to affect this election. 100%. We need to hammer this sorry degenerate every single day because he is a liar and he is a stolen valor coward.
And can I just add and just tell y'all and to the veterans in the chat and the veterans that will watch this later, you understand what I'm about to say. Because yes, I'm a few years older than Graham, but I have several friends that are much older than me that they served in that sweet spot when nothing was going on. I've got a friend right now. He retired as an E8, lives right down the road, and during his retirement, like he was almost in tears because he never got the opportunity to deploy. He never got the opportunity to fight for his country. That's the difference. That's a real member of the military versus this lying, oxygen thief, dumpster fire, piece of garbage, rooster fish. Oh my God. I
haven't heard that in a while.
I've never heard that in my life.
It's a military thing.
Yeah, so.
Anyway, all right. So let's get into it here. All right. This is Tim Walz being a lying degenerate. Over and over. So this is an old back in the day thing. And I want you to listen. This is very political how he says this. So he says the words, my unit was deployed to support Operation Enduring Freedom. Any layman, any person that's not in the military is going to think, and by the way, that's a lot of people because less than 1% of people have served in the military.
Facts.
Any person is going to think, oh, he served in Afghanistan. All right, listen how he says this. It's very politically done. Very well done politically.
What's your background and how did somebody from Nebraska end up in Minnesota?
Yeah, well, my wife's from Minnesota, so she took me there. Actually, it was based on the educational system in Minnesota was one that we kind of aspired to teach in. So I ended up in southern Minnesota. My wife's been there for many generations.
And your military background?
I spent 24 years in the National Guard, some of that full time. I was an artilleryman. I deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. My battalion provided.
Boom. I deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. In other words, he never went to Afghanistan. He went through Turkey, through Italy. This guy was in Italy. Okay, he did nothing. He did not go to war. He didn't. He did not go to war ever. He never stepped foot in war. And then when he came back, they got the warning order that his unit was getting ready to be deployed to Iraq, and that's when he punched his ticket and was like, I'm retiring, which makes you a coward. I don't give a crap if you were eligible for retirement or not. You do not do that. You just don't. I volunteered for my second deployment. I didn't have to go again. But brothers of mine that went with me the first time got called back up, and I was like, you ain't going without me. And I volunteered to go again. And that's not a pat me on the back thing. That's a you do not
do what you gotta do.
Your brothers go without you. You do not do that.
I was living in North Carolina, and my baby sister, she was in the Guard, and my baby sister got deployed. I left North Carolina and said, no, honey, you ain't going without your brother. I mean, that's just what we do. I mean, I'm sorry. That's what we do. And again, it's like I said yesterday, it's not like Tim was like this E4, E5, E6 that didn't have any responsibility. He was the battalion sergeant major. He had 700 to 1,000 soldiers that he was responsible for, and he turned his back on them. All right. What's he going to do to America?
Yep.
That's all I got.
All right, let's keep going. But even CNN is now hitting at it. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I don't want to interrupt the video for too long, but I have to tell you about my friends at Birch Gold Group. Listen, we all know the economy is in shambles, and I hate to break it to you, it doesn't look like it's getting any better anytime soon. But there is something that you can do to protect your family by protecting your money. So all you got to do is text the word Graham, that's GRAHAM, to the number 989898 right now. And my friends at Birch Gold Group are going to send you a free 25-page information kit on how gold, silver, and precious metals can help protect your family by protecting your money in these uncertain times. Free information is vital information, so text the word Graham, that's GRAHAM, to 989898 right now. Let's listen to this clip right here from CNN, of all places. All right, this dude
did make a comment speaking to a group. He's done it a couple of times where he has used language that has suggested that he carried weapons in a fighting situation. As you know, with your contact with the military, I know from coming from a military family, there is a difference between being in a combat area, being involved at a time of war, and actually being in a position where people are shooting at you. There is no evidence that at any time Governor Walz was in a position of being shot at, and some of his language could easily be seen to suggest that he was.
He also was never in a combat area. Period. He was never in, not only did he not carry a weapon in war, he was never located in a combat area. The end. This is stolen valor through and through. And here we go. People are like, he never really said any of those things. You can't blah, blah, blah. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
This is Tim Walz saying at what looks like just like a normal like town hall, that, quote, I carried weapons of war in war. Let's play this clip.
Pope woke up like many of you did 5 weeks ago and said, Dad, you're the only person I know who's in elected office. You need to stop what's happening with this. I'll take my kick in the butt for the NRA. I spent 25 years in the Army and I hunt. And I gave the money back, and I'll tell you what I have been doing. I've been voting for common sense legislation that protects the Second Amendment, but we can do background checks. We can do CDC research. We can make sure we don't have reciprocal carry among states, and we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are.
Weapons of war that I carried in war. That's stolen valor, folks. You did not go to war. You're a liar. And again, as we said in the beginning, I don't care if you were an admin NCO. I don't care if you were a cook. I don't care if you worked in the post office at the fob where you were. I do not care. Okay. You did not go to war. Okay. And I don't care if you were the person that went outside the wire or not. There were lots of people that deployed with my unit that weren't the people that went out, and they did not leave the fob the entire time, but they still did the job that they were called to do. I will never hate on those people at all. Okay. That was not me and Todd's experience. Okay. Todd went out hundreds of times. I went out hundreds of times. And somebody wrote, when I played the fun little game, here's a picture of me not being Tim Walz. Somebody said, what would your, commanding officer say when he would see what a horrible person you turned into? And I said, you know what? He may not agree with my politics. I don't know. But what I do know is what he cannot say is that I wasn't there. What he cannot say is that I got, accommodation medals at the end of my service for being there. What he cannot say is I did not go outside the wire hundreds and hundreds of times and never complained once. Same thing for Todd. He's literally half animanium at this point. Okay. Nobody can say in our records that we did not do it. On my Iraqi ribbon, it's got multiple, is it Oakley clusters or whatever? Clusters. I've been many times. If you don't have a national defense ribbon, which one is it that you can't get unless you've gone to war? I can't remember what it is.
You got the overseas
service ribbons. You can get that.
You got the OIF, OEF.
If you got the OIF or OEF medals, you went. Tim Walz ain't got that. So shut your mouth. This dude is a piece of human garbage. And what's worse is the Democrats. We live in a time and place where me and Todd are realizing now, for about 20 years, it went with, hey, did you go? What'd you do? Like that was like how you gauged people, right? Mm-hmm. Now we live in a place where people are legitimately forgetting. And we realize that. And this is where you need to hit that like button, hit that share button. And it's fine. That's how it goes. Okay. And here's the thing. The Democrats are scrambling because they were betting that it's been long enough that people would just let this go. And so Charlie's hearing rumors, much like I'm hearing rumors, that the Democrats were not expecting this gigantic pushback on this dude is a stolen valor piece of garbage. He abandoned his brothers and ran from war. You know what? I even would put more hate on this dude than I would somebody that would be a dodger, like a draft dodger. Okay. And here's why. But just shut up and let me talk before you start commenting in the chat. Here's why. Draft dodgers never went to boot camp. They never formed that bond. They just didn't. It's something that cannot be explained unless you're there and you wear the uniform and you bleed and you sweat and you pain with your brothers. It's something you do not understand unless you're there. So although I do not respect draft dodgers, to me, it's the same thing of ignorance versus, ignorance is lack of understanding, right? It's lack of knowledge. Tim Walz did. He was in the service for 24 years. And then the moment that your men, your brothers need you the most, you bail. And then somebody who's more of a man than you ever will be has to step into your place last minute.
God bless that man.
And bring them boys back home.
God bless that
dude man. Is a hero. And you're a piece of garbage.
You and I both know, Graham. All right, with Walz, once he got that alert order and backed out, it's only because of one or two things, because of the camaraderie and just one, being a leader of men. It's one or two things. Either A, he's a legit coward, or B, he was so hated, he was worried about getting one in the back when he wasn't looking.
That's true. I mean,
sorry.
Anyway, but to prove my points, the Democrats really thought you wouldn't care. Here's Nancy Pelosi. Here's multiple interviews with people where they don't even realize that J.D. Vance was in the Marine Corps and did go to Iraq. Now again, J.D. Vance was what? What was he? Public affairs?
Yeah, he was the Marine Corps, public affairs. He was a journalist.
Okay. All right. Fine.
Something like that.
I get it. All right. Look, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't a combat job and all this stuff. Okay. Again, I don't care. He had a job. And when the job said you're going to Iraq, he went to Iraq. That's what I care about. I don't care if you were the baddest dude in the sand. I don't. I care that you did what you were supposed to do. But play this from Nancy Pelosi.
J.D. Vance has criticized him as never having been in combat. And
has he?
And
has he?
Well,
has J.D. Vance been in combat?
Well, I think he was over in Iraq, I think. J.D. Vance has
there you go. So Nancy Pelosi doesn't know. And then there's another one. Let's go to the other CNN one where they're not aware of J.D. Vance having any service. Here we go.
Well, here is Tim Walz, who enlisted when he was 17 years old. He served in the National Guard for 24 years. And I'm not aware of any military service that J.D. Vance has ever served. So let's just make the comparison there. And what happened in the tragedy of the killing of George Marines, Floyd and then the unrest. Yeah, okay. Pardon me for that.
They just glance over. And this is a senator. This is a senator from Minnesota. That the Democrats were betting that we wouldn't care. That's the truth.
Veterans are going to catch that.
They were betting that we wouldn't care. And this is why we as veterans, this is why spouses of veterans, kids of veterans, and all, this is why you can affect this race. You can hammer this. The DNC is how many days? 11 days, right? Isn't that what we said?
Mm-hmm.
You got 11 days to hammer this dude to the ground and back every single day. You do not let this die out. You do not let this rest. You make this go every single day.